Yo, yo, we are live. This is the check in. So bear with me right quick as I uh, take care of the privacy issues and stuff real quick. While I'm doing that, I'm going to give you the disclaimer that we give every week. It's never going to change. Um, we're not licensed therapists, counselors, uh, psychiatrists, or anything of that nature. But what we are men who have walked this journey and are continually walking this journey in life and figuring things out and learning as we go along this journey to be better. And what better way to show that than to have a show like this? Um, bear with me real quick. Also, too, if you are thin skinned and you you dream of bunny rabbits and cotton candy and running through fields of flowers and all that, and this is not for you. I guarantee you, this is not for you. But if you're ready to be accountable and you're ready uh, to make a change in your life, most definitely, this is for you. Uh, oh, my, shout out to D Nick. He said, "Speak for yourself." I am. Yeah, he's saying that he is a counselor. But yeah, shout out to D Nick, uh, who I hope will jump in here today. But yeah, so if you have that thin skin and you get easily offended or whatever like that, just change the channel. There's no need to flag us. There's no need to say anything. Uh, he said, "Nope, this is for you." Okay. Um, yeah, no need to report us or anything like that. Just change the channel. Just go watch something else because the language might get a little vulgar. The language may be a little harsh, but that's life. Life has harsh realities, and that's a reality. So if you're easily offended or whatever, just go somewhere else, man. Hopefully you're not, and you'll want to check it out. You might learn something. We all might learn something in the process. But as we go on moving forward, I'm your host, Heat Detective. Welcome to the check-in. And with me tonight, I have my friend Tony Lynch in the building. Tony, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and whatnots? Right. And just to be clear and be honest with grief has so many different layers and so many uh things involved because it doesn't necessarily have to mean uh loss of a family member or death or passing or whatever you would want to call it. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Grief can be a loss in a relationship, a loss of a job, a loss of a lot of different things. Can you hear us, brother? Okay. We got D Nick in the building. Yeah. And I'm well what's the matter with the disclaimer? Am I well what's the matter with it? Oh, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. I just say that because I'm not trying to get flagged or anything because somebody doesn't like the fact that I say fuck or fuck that or you know what I'm saying. Or, you know how people are. I encourage somebody that is not comfortable with certain things to sit in and listen. They may learn something. They may learn to be comfortable. But yeah, right. Yeah, just don't flag us, right? Somebody saying he says can't hear. Says he can't hear, dude. I don't know what that means. Let me. I don't know. I'm gonna go check the other shit. Speak amongst yourselves. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I can't. I got it playing right now, and I don't hear. Hold on. Scan and you get easily offended. Everything just went mute. Hold on. I'm trying to figure. Yeah, it's Facebook though. That's the thing. Yeah, it's not connected to Facebook. It happened. That happened to me yesterday. I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but that's Facebook. If you're watching, yeah, you're gonna have to move on over to YouTube because Facebook is not complying. Yeah, true indeed. Yeah, now I'm listening to it. I can hear everything. I can hear me, but I can't hear you guys. Let me check it. Now I can hear me. Um, Now everything just went blank. Yeah, I can hear me. Let me look and see what the hell. Input mix mode. Let me check in the preferences. Man, I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, I don't either. I'm opening up the. Let me check if it changes anything. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Everything was fine yesterday. Uh, can I get a mic check out of one of y'all?
Syphilis,
You hear me?
chlamydia, gonorrhea.
Snake said chlamydia. I'm checking right
I'm
now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
That's how I
good.
sound check on stage. So the sound man will get a good laugh and they appreciate it and they give me good they give me like little effects and all of that type of stuff. That's how you got to make sure to look out for your sound man. You know, I'm
I'm just
I'm a
waiting
musician on
for
top of being a counselor, man. So that's what it is.
I'm waiting for the.
Go ahead and keep talking. I'm trying to see if it's coming in through YouTube real quick.
Oh yeah, we're good to go now.
All right, cool,
Yeah, we're good to go now.
good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're good now. All right, we're good now. So, yeah, I believe we're good. Shout out to Sheba. She
All right,
says
man.
greetings.
Let's let her rip.
So tonight we're going to talk about being honest with yourself. Um, I have a lot of thoughts on that. I know it took me a minute to realize what being honest with myself actually really was, or what it really means. Hold on, I'm overly thinking about this, making sure that the sound is going, but like there's a delay in YouTube, but whatever. So yeah, thinking about being
Yeah, they were
honest with
just
yourself. What are your thoughts on that, D?
being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a part of it's a part of accountability, which is one of the core principles that I have to, implore in counseling sessions. Like it's one of our core values is accountability, and part of that is being honest with yourself. And for those that don't know, accountability is you are responsible for your actions, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And you have to be honest about that. If you hurt someone's feelings, doesn't matter your intent. Like it matters is did their feelings get hurt. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be accountable for that. And you got to be honest, and you got to use I statements and stop deflecting. That's a procedure to help you with those type of things. Like try to always use statements. You
Right.
know.
And that's a difficult thing for people to do. That's a difficult thing for anyone, I think, about being honest with yourself. It's tough because, again, being accountable is holding yourself accountable and getting to that point is hard enough, I think. Because I know for me, it was very difficult for me to be accountable for myself to hold myself accountable for my actions and for things that I've done or do or even treat people. So I can imagine for someone who isn't really on any type of journey or anything that how difficult that could be. Okay. But
Especially that part of like you're accountable, you're responsible, whether intentionally or unintentionally. That be the part, because if your intent was like I may not hurt your feelings, I was being silly. You you deflect or you justify or all of this stuff. It's like no, you gotta shut up and like hear them out and hear it out. You know, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you did that. I did that. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell a quick story right quick. So I know somebody who had gotten locked up and they called me from the jail and they were getting ready to go to not sentencing, but they were getting ready to start trial and everything. And I told them, they were like, I don't know, man, I didn't do it. And I was like, are you being honest? Like I mean, you could lie to me if you want to, but if you're being honest, be honest with yourself. If you didn't do it, by all means, fight tooth and nail. But let's say you did do it. be honest with yourself and be honest with, like, you know, what you feel like your sentencing can be, because you can shoot back a counter offer, whatever they do, a plea bargain or whatever. But I was just talking to him and about being honest with yourself about, you know, what you did or what you may not have done. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever your part in it was, just be honest with yourself and, you know, deal with it like that. That was the best advice I can give him. You know, because if you did it, be honest and be like, you know, fuck it. All right, you know, I did XYZ, but I feel like the punishment may be a little too harsh. But even be honest with that, like, fuck. Because, you know, I don't know, court systems. I'm not trying to get into any of that, but I'm just saying that in talking to him, was telling him the importance of him being honest with himself, being in that position. You know, either you did it or you didn't do it, or if you had involvement in it or whatever. Just if you really want to look at it and understand what you're dealing with, you're gonna have to be honest with yourself. You know, honest with your own actions, honest with your own shit. Like, you know, I'm not in your position, but this is the best I could tell you what you should do. You know, I don't know.
I want to elaborate on that a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, man, you've been around cats that's been locked up. We both, you know what I'm saying, we've both been in the system before. We've heard all the stories, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, it's really hard to be accountable when you don't think that you've done anything wrong. We don't think that we've done anything wrong. So every time that we go to jail or something like that, or somebody trying to do something to us, we always come up with the excuse of, man, I don't know why this dude tripping, or I don't know why old girl tripping, right? But we never see it from the side of what did we do in order to get in this situation, in order to, you know what I'm saying, get to this point. You know, so relationships, all types of relationships. Look, man, I'm speaking from experience when I say this. I ruined a lot of people. I hurt a lot of women because I refused to be accountable for the stuff that I did. Right? You know what I'm saying? I justified it because, for one, I didn't want. Look, man, I was afraid. I was afraid of a healthy relationship because I never seen a healthy relationship before. I was afraid of, you know what I'm saying, of people, because I was so used to people trying to do things to me. So I justified my actions because I was like, I'm gonna get you before you get me, type thing. So when all of these things used to happen, and life, you know, life be life, and sometimes, man, you know, they came through and whooped up on me pretty good. It was easier for me to point the finger at someone else and say, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why you doing this, than it was for me to go, man, I'm sorry for doing the things that I've done. You know, that comes with time. It comes with maturity. It comes with a lot of, you know, being honest with yourself and things like that. And thinking outside the box and just going, you know what, maybe I did this to myself. So, you know, nowadays it's just like, you know what, I have a philosophy: never do anything that you have to go back and apologize for. Right? You know what I'm saying? Because when you hurt somebody, you owe that person an apology, man. You can't go around hurting people. And most of all, you can't go around hurting yourself and then lying to yourself and then getting upset when the truth comes and smack you in the face. It's just not. That's just not how it works. It really isn't.
Accountability is, this is Sheba. Accountability is required me to humble myself in the face of my offense and behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I would add, like, for honesty, and this is the things that we do and what I'm be talking about with these kids tomorrow. There's accountability. We talking about, there's two steps and all of that, right? There's accountability, but accountability is number two. Number one is integrity. You have to have integrity. That's number one. If you don't have any integrity, then your accountability and by osmosis, your honesty is going to be a little shaky.
AD,
With your integrity, like your values are supposed to equal your actions.
AD,
Whatever your value, no judgment.
D.
Your values are to equal your actions.
Check this out real quick, like, and I'm not trying to be funny, but it's gonna sound funny. That's, to some people, integrity may be a $5 word. Can you break that down to about 50 cents or 25 cents?
Is values a $5 word?
No.
Okay, well, that's why I was doing that. Your integrity is your values equal your actions. That's breaking down integrity. Your values equal your actions.
Thank you. Probably should have shut
If
the
you're
hell
a
up and let you
thief,
finish that.
that's your integrity. If you're an abuser, that speaks to your integrity. If you're doing like your values equal your actions.
Got you.
That clear? That clear? That wasn't too lofty, right?
No. That was perfect. That was very well put. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes
Yeah.
I just feel like, first of all, like, we got a whole generation of people running around that read at an 8th grade level. So I think sometimes it's just important to clarify some shit, or break it down, I should say, probably, so that it's understood the right way. You know what I mean? No offense to anybody, but it is what it is. You know. But I think
Can I?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'll wait till you get done. But I would like to elaborate on what Big D said.
Go ahead.
So I totally agree with what Big D said. You know what I'm saying? Integrity and honor, your morals, your values, you know what I'm saying, your actions, things like that speaks a lot. My thing, okay, so I guess my question would be in this elaboration would be how easy it is for people to play the victim than it is for individuals to be honest. Let's be truthful about this, right? It's easier for a person to point the finger and be a victim and say, you know what I'm saying, you did this to me, you did this to me, to justify their actions. Now, integrity does play a part in there, but as you know what I'm saying, as Big Heat said, most people don't even see past the level of education, or they lack the cognitive skills to even think past that of an immature child. Because life, you know what I'm saying, depending on their environment and things like that, depending on what they have done in order to improve themselves, right, in their situations, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, it's easier to play the victim. It's easier to play the victim than it is to be accountable. So, and that's where we have to work on ourselves, our mental, right, to develop those things. But I think that's the reason why we need mentors, to help guide us and teach us those things that we do not know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's why, like, when you define like accountable, like being accountable, you're responsible for your actions, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
Right.
That's like, and
Right.
that when we say things are a practice, that's the practice. It's like, man, I didn't mean it. Like, it doesn't matter what you meant. How was it perceived? And how was it taken? No, but I was okay. How was it taken? How? How? And you just act like, like when I'm doing a counseling session, like, I am not arrogant enough to believe that I have all the answers. and I would say question that person's that counselor's pedigree if they're always giving you what you need to do is that man just ask questions and lead someone into figuring it out because they're gonna they're gonna show their integrity, and if their integrity is like kind of if their values are shaky, then they're going, all right, well then you're gonna eat the cost of that. You know what I'm saying? And this is what it's going to be. Like if you're open to certain things, it's like okay, you're open into learning and listening. That's why I was giving. That's why I was giving heat shit about like the if you're in the puppies and raven, all that stuff. No, them people we need to talk to. They need to come if they're we need to talk to the doilies. We get to see why are you such a delicate fabric? No disrespect, but just because we cut from leather, we have to be able to deal with the delicate fabric. Just don't flag the platform. That's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of that type of stuff. But yeah, like, like you're projecting blame. All of that stuff it's an excuse, and not to say that it's not justified. It can be. It is very justified, and it's a lot of times. 80% of the times. We just can't use that as a factor. I won't use the word excuse. We can't use. We have to practice not using that as a factor. You know, for like us living in our own. I'm gonna use a $5 word. Our own pestilence. You know what I'm
Pestilence.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
like we gotta, it's just like we all got asshole bosses if we work for somebody, and you're just like, yo, this is, but unless they violate to the point where you go to HR, we kind of sometimes got to take it and figure out how to take it.
Right.
It just is. It is what it is, and figure out how to cope. And like, you know what? This doesn't define me, and even me taking it doesn't define me. Doesn't mean that I'm a passive, like pussy or some shit like that. I'm just I got a bigger goal ahead. If I'm counseling some young men and they cussing me out because they're dealing with, which they do, they're dealing with like they triggers. It's like, why you think I deserve that? Did I deserve that? Man, it was just but did I deserve that?
Right.
No, but it's just okay. Why you talk to me like that? Man, I didn't mean to. No, I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh, but you said it, and it hurt my feelings. So let's talk about that. All right, I'm sorry. All right, man, forgive. Like there is a process. I gotta walk through the steps, and sometimes, like we doing stuff. These kids be triggered, man.
Right.
These cats be seriously triggered, and I do group counseling, so I'm there with a lot of young men. You know what I'm saying?
And
And
those
I
young men will
I
be
gotta
older
take it.
men. Those young men at some point will
You
be
said,
older men. And going into life like that, as you get older, I mean, not like to make us sound like, oh, look at we're the old wise men, or with age comes shit, because there's men out there that are older, and yeah, that's what we want to avoid. You know what I mean? We want to avoid that a person hits a certain age and they're just still like, but you, and not taking any accountability, or not even being honest with themselves about their own behaviors or their own actions. I mean,
I
yeah,
like that. I like that.
yeah,
I want to add to that too, right? I think a huge component into being accountable for yourself, for your actions, and how you treat people is humility. And the reason why I say
mm,
that, because once you've been humiliated, and you know what I'm saying, it's just like once you've been put in a situation where you've been humiliated and embarrassed, it kind of changes your perspective of how you approach things after that, right? Because you at that point you have a choice. You have a choice to make. You can either react, You can either react to that
Yeah.
humility or that embarrassment that's been put upon you in a way that's going to have dire consequences, or you can look at the situation and go, you know what, I'm going to respond. I would rather respond to the situation and just look at it, because after that, you know what I'm saying, I can make a choice whether or not if I want to stay around. If I want to be educated, then yes, I would stay around because I want to find out why did I have that feeling when said situation arise. I'm always looking to educate myself because I don't like to take things personal. But if I have to take something personal, then I may make a irrational decision that I have to later on pay for. I don't want to do that. So I'd rather understand why I had that emotional response and hold myself accountable to it, because I find that that leads to me figuring out certain triggers that I now have to go in and address with myself, right?
Mm.
I'm not saying that it
Yeah.
works for everybody, but that's something that is always stayed with me to be able to help me move through life, um, and keep one foot in front of the other, right?
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. Shout out to Shy City Sheba. I saw
Yeah.
her comment. She was like, "That's exactly what my therapist does. Like, always asks me questions, like helping lead me to finding a understanding." Absolutely, like
Yeah.
respect.
She asked the questions to help me sort through me, you know.
Yeah,
And yo, shout
Yeah.
out to that, because that's a hard thing to do, sorting through yourself. I've been sorting through myself for the last 2 years, and I'm still sorting. It's like the never ending
Oh yeah.
laundry basket, you know what I'm saying, of shit.
to people, and that is a thing that we're trained to do. And so everybody really be leery if you're getting therapy or counselor. And I mean, everybody's human, so well, sometimes you might trigger something in them where they be like, "Don't do that," like, you know what I'm saying, or say
Right.
something like that. But like we are trained to, ask you infinite number of questions that are just that are designed to like have you sort through them and you process at your pace and your speed. You
Right.
know, it's for you to sort through them. And so be leery of people that or of anybody that's a clinician and they're like giving you the answers. That's some sucker shit that they're, we're not supposed to do, because we experts. I guess you could say we're licensed, but we're not experts in nobody's life. You know what I'm saying? We have to help you sort through that shit.
What do you say to somebody
Right.
who doesn't have a therapist, and they want to sort it out, or they're doing their best to sort it out within themselves?
I
Use
would say,
context, compassion, and but that's only one step. You have to take integrity and you have to have accountability, and you have to really break things down and understand all sides of the you basically have to play three-dimensional chess with yourself and others. You can't, like, it's hard sometimes. It's like, it's really, really hard for you to, because it's easy to deflect. It is easy to deflect, and but you got to take ownership of your feelings, and you got to take ownership to how your feelings and how you project those feelings make other people feel or see you, and that's really difficult to do by yourself. But if you're doing that by yourself, and I don't really push for codependency, I push for interdependency. You gotta learn, you gotta take ownership of your feelings and your actions and understand how that is going to be perceived and affected and affect other people, especially like your loved ones. And all of that. Like, just so take ownership of your feelings and your actions.
Right. Which goes back to being honest with yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that too, um, I would say learn to be by yourself for a while. Because I find that a lot of times when you can hold yourself accountable, is when you sitting by yourself. And the reason being, we get so used to being around people that we're influenced by their habits, thoughts, and their actions, right? And we tend to put ourselves in situations to mimic certain things. The problem is that, what I'm saying, we don't spend enough time with ourselves to see if we even like ourselves. I think that's where the first thing comes from. At least, what I'm saying, I'm not saying everybody go out there and do something like that, but if you really want to find out something about yourself, sit with yourself for a bit. Just
And that's
like
a
during,
tough thing to
okay,
do.
so put it like this: during
That's a tough
quarantine,
thing to
during
do.
COVID, and all of that stuff, there was a lot of people caught up in the house by themselves, and they drove themselves crazy. Then you find out how much you like yourself. A lot of people don't even like themselves. So when you sit with yourself and you find yourself not even standing, can't even stand to be in the same room with yourself, ask yourself the question why. Then you go back in and you address those things. That's where that internal work comes from. Because if you don't like yourself, you would tend to go out and do things to impress other people to get them to like you, to justify you not liking yourself. Again, those are just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts and it's my opinion. But as they say, opinions like assholes. Everybody has one. You know what I'm saying? But that's just something that that I've learned to do, is to have that one-on-one time with myself because we dictate how others treat us. And if I don't treat myself good, I can't hold myself accountable for allowing others to treat me badly. You are the first defense on when it comes down to that. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you get to develop some really good thinking skills, some cognitive skills, some really start to develop some self care, um, and true accountability, right? Because when you by yourself, you got to be responsible for getting up, getting yourself ready for the day. You got to be accountable for the times when you got to wash your dishes, do your laundry, clean your home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Don't depend on nobody else. Do it for yourself first, and then you bring other people in when you've gotten to a point to where you truly, truly care about you.
Hmm.
But again, you know,
Well, I mean, damn. I listen. I like, for me, like, sitting by myself has worked for to a degree, especially nowadays because, again, being honest with myself about how I feel about things. Something pisses me off or upsets me, aggravates me, frustrates me, or whatever. Uh, Before, I used to get in my head a lot, get in my own head a lot, and get upset and blame other people, point the finger at other people, and not taking any accountability for whatever my part of it was or is.
Right.
And sitting with myself, I have found that that's very emotional too, because I found myself really, I had like catch myself from going down a little rabbit hole of self pity and guilt and things like that. Um, but it's also made
Right.
me aware of why I'm feeling like that, why I'm thinking that way, and what I should be doing to change those thoughts and to change my actions. I told someone today, I was like, uh, if there's anything that I can do to help them feel more comfortable or even safe or be in a safe place near me or around me, let me know. Just to throw that out there to them, because I have become really more aware of how I approach things and how I approach people, how I articulate things, And a lot of times I can be very aggressive, which could come across it like an asshole, or or even my thoughts of me just being assertive comes off as asshole-ish or smart ass, or things of that nature. But just being aware of that, and then just letting the people that are close to me and around me all the time to help me understand, because I'm understanding what I'm doing, but maybe I don't understand individually what I'm doing to all of them individually. As a group, I can make a blanket statement and say something to them, but I felt the need to individually ask them, because everybody's going to perceive things differently. And so, yeah, that's been like my thing now, is just to let everybody know, listen, if there's anything I'm doing or do, let me know. I want my presence to be a safe place, if it for a conversation or for love and trust and understanding. I need my space to be that space. And that was something that I had to be honest with myself about. It's like, it's almost like that old saying, like, be careful of what you wish for type shit. So me being honest with myself, I know what that entails. So I have to be honest with myself. I'm like, all right, you know what you just said, right? So if they come back and say, hey, you do this and you do that, and that triggers me, or that bothers me, or that upsets me, or that hurts my feelings, or has me uncomfortable, I need to be able to take that in and be accountable for it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, totally.
Shy City Sheba
Totally.
says, that's the thing. It took decades for me to embrace a therapist. I believe I was managing me enough, but I was not taking responsibility and taking action on sorting me out. I needed help with that. Yeah, man. I mean, I still
No,
need help.
it
Shit.
does. You need ownership. You got to take ownership of your feelings and what and your values, and what you project to others, and like what you just said, and a lot of that is like, man, I gotta, sometimes you gotta listen. You gotta sit and listen and let them get that off, and sometimes they gotta listen and let you get that off. And the thing is, they might not be that emotionally intelligent to let you get that off.
Right.
And how do you deal with that? Well, you know what? I was like, whatever. I was venting or saying this to someone that maybe wasn't emotionally intelligent. I have to take ownership of that, because they weren't ready to pick up what I was putting down,
Hmm.
you know. And that's on me. Instead of projecting, it's like, that's on me. That's not, a lot of that is not for everybody. And that's the hard thing about self self-help and honesty and all of this type of things. Like, a lot of times, we have to, like, to be accountable or to project holding other people accountable is not always easy. If it was easy, everybody could do it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And it wouldn't be worth nothing. It has value. Accountability has value. Integrity has value. That honesty has value. And value in this country is mostly about rarity, you know, like, that's the harsh reality of that stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know what I'm saying? And when we actually think about that, like, let's start putting in the layers of it as well, right? Because there's a whole lot of things that need to be added into that, so people do get the full spectrum of what is required, right? For yourself, for you to hold yourself accountable. Everything that we're saying right now, if a person's sitting back and can put that together, they can begin to put together the puzzle pieces about their own self, right? Um, and being around people that will hold you accountable, that's not going to sugarcoat the things, and you know what I'm saying, is part of it as well. So you know what I'm saying, you have to determine at what point in your life do you need someone to hold you accountable. So maybe you missed something, right? You know what I'm saying? I would rather be around people that's going to be honest with me, but like, hey, Tone, man, what you did was fucked up, right? So I may not be aware of that. I may not be emotionally aware, or you know what I'm saying, lacking. I may be emotionally lacking in some areas because I do struggle with emotional attachment because a lot of stuff I don't understand.
Mm.
So understanding that about me, I can be a very cold, callous individual when it comes down to certain things, right? Because it's not that I don't have them. It's just I don't understand them. Like, for instance, a relationship. I could be with a really good woman. I may lack the emotional attachment to be able to express that because maybe I'm used to a certain type of way, right? Now, my actions will say that, hey, I care about you very deeply. I may not verbally express it, or I may be put in a situation where I may my lady may say something to me, and I may snap back at her and go, I really don't care. Not even taking into consideration about what I just said, right? Of course, they're going to take it a certain way, but in my mind, I you hey, you know, I may look at you and be like, you know what you signed up for when you got with me. It's not that doesn't make it right. You know what I'm saying? It just means that I have a lot more growing to do. That's all. And sometimes distinguishing the two, because I do a lot of grief work, right? And I do understand that in that line of work, I have to emotionally detach myself from the
Right.
situation, you know what I'm saying, to be able to rationally help walk with you. But also, when you dump everything on top of me, I need to be able to carry that and release it so you're not carrying it. That can numb you. See, that can numb you inside because you get so used to hearing about death, dying, and grief and trauma, the mental health struggles that another person is going to, that you sometimes forget the people that are closest to you, right? Because you have to be detached from a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's just, you know, I had something else, but I got this gnat flying around. I'm about to smack it around a little bit before it smacks me around, you know. But again, you know what I'm saying? I I know this about myself. I know that some days I'm out, I'm talking to 5, 6 men out there, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget that when I'm around someone who's not going through that, they just want a normal conversation with me. They just want to just be in my company. And they may need a little affection, but I sometimes forget that, you know what I'm saying, to allow myself to do that.
Nice. No, I understand. For me, it's a different. I have a not that you what you were saying was that like I totally agree with a lot of that, and like I from my own personal struggles, it's usually hard for me to connect to people, and I don't know if this feeds in like my ego or what, but you know, like I don't. I really, really practice like my work. I don't project blame onto people, but
Mm.
because that that enables people to be a dumping ground or punt or treat me as a punching bag if I allow it. And so I am very ferocious with my boundaries with people. And then but that makes it the caveat to that is it makes it hard for me to connect with a lot of people. So I don't
Right.
I don't. really connect with a lot of people, like that. And sometimes I'm like, dang, and outside of counseling, I'm a musician, and you perform with all of these people, and it's like, man, I connect with none of these people, you know, like on a personal level or any of that type of stuff. A lot of different energies, but it's like, man, I'm not connecting with these people. And that can make you feel lonely a lot of times, but it's just part of the game as far as I'm seeing in my own like journey and development.
Mm.
Right. And I think that's where we as human beings, right, that's where we struggle a lot with. And I totally agree with what you said. That can lead down a path of loneliness. You know what I'm saying? But loneliness to and again, I'm only speaking from my perspective. You know what I'm saying? And please chime in. You may not
Mhm.
agree with me, may agree with me. You know what I'm saying, but that's fine too. I'm okay with that. To me, loneliness is just a state of mind, right? You know what I'm saying? That's all it is for me. It's just a state of mind. I'm okay with being by myself. One, I've always been by myself my whole entire life, so it's nothing for me um, to sit for months and maybe years on end without anybody around me. I, it just doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. The only time that I had to get used to it, and this is going to sound crazy, I had to get used to when I had my son. I had to get used to him being around me, right? You know what I'm saying? Because before then, it was always just me. I had to learn how to survive. Had to learn how to maneuver around in the world and be around people. So I spend a lot of time playing 3D chess. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna checkmate you before you checkmate me. Survival of the fittest, right? Meaning that I don't have
Right,
to
right, right.
talk
Yeah.
to you. You know what I'm saying? To allow you to come. I don't need to allow you to come into my space. Because for one, I don't know what your intentions are. So I'm going to play mental jujitsu with you. I'm really good at playing chess. I'm really good at playing 3D chess or 4D chess, however you want to put it. But I'm really good at being around people and reading people, right? And until you can earn my trust,
Right.
I got nothing for you. I have nothing for you. That meaning that I have to protect myself by any means necessary. But these are the different stages of life that I've had to live in order to get to where I am today. You understand? But now, again, the
Yeah, yeah.
whole other side of it is that learning to be emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware of these things has helped me pivot and be more open um, and a lot more aware of other people that I'm around when I'm around them. Because the last thing I want to do is offend anyone because I lack the emotional intelligence to understand where you're coming from. I may need to be corrected from time to time. I may need to be told, "Oh, hey, Tony, look, man, I didn't. That made me feel some sort of way." Right now, I may do things intentionally to show you to get a rise out of you and things like that depending on the situation. You may be a hard-headed dude or you know what I'm saying or something like that, and I may have to take a different approach because I've tried everything else, but I also adjust my conversation to the people that I'm around too.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I really do. I adjust my conversation to those that I'm around, especially doing the work that I do, because I may try A through X and that's not working, and realize that your mentality is a little bit more rough. So I may have to come in to have a different approach. But when I do it, there's no emotional attachment to it. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I know the way that you're going to take it, but I'm okay with that, you know? But again,
Yeah.
um, in those situations, I do have to be accountable for that. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I've already weighed out the options and I'm already going, my actions is going to have some sort of pushback. And I have to be okay with that because this is what's going to help me be better. But also the person that I'm with is going to help them be better as well.
Yeah. I yeah. Shit, I was one of those people, man. I was one of those people. Like some people, you can. I like to say that some people you can hand a business card to, and other people need a billboard. And I was a
Right.
billboard. You know what I mean? You could say
Hmm.
it to me in calm and everything all you want, but if I don't see that shit big as hell and in my fucking face, I wasn't paying it any attention. It was like whatever. You know, I didn't see it, didn't hear it, and didn't care to. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I believed I because I was that person. I believe that some people you treat they're able to take it like a business card, and other people they need a billboard. You know what I'm saying? You know you have to approach it. However way you see fit. But I have a question for the both of you. Uh, what do you tell someone who doesn't understand what it means to be honest with themselves? Because some people do, some people think they know, but like Tony and I were talking earlier before the show, some people have even tricked themselves in thinking that they're honest with themselves, or in situations or in life, or about whatever in the hell they're going through. You see a person can easily trick themselves into believing that they're being honest about how they feel or honest about whatever it is. And how do you tell somebody, how do you give somebody instruction, if you will, about being honest with themselves?
In relation to
To
what? Like, what are they being honest with themselves
Just in
about?
general, because just in general, like if I said, man, be honest, like if I looked at you, D, and let's say, for instance, you had no clue of what being honest with yourself was, and I said, um, I don't know, like, fuck, you know, are you really are you really that big of an artist? You know what I'm saying? But and maybe in
Hmm.
your mind, I'm not saying that about you personally, but
Right.
maybe I'm just
You're
trying to give
right.
some
Yeah.
context to it. Maybe in
I'm
your
on. I'm on the
mind,
Z list. I'm on the Z list. I'm not. I'm not
nah, but because I've encountered people like that within the music industry. That's why I kind of like put it in that context, where in their mind they have really fooled themselves into believing that they're bigger than they actually are.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So
I. Okay. So when for with anything,
yeah,
I don't. I won't. I wouldn't tell them nothing. I would just ask. I would just ask questions about stuff like that. So like when I do check-ins, like depending on if it's I work with young men, so I would ask them like our check-ins. There's open check-ins, or there's pies check-ins, or you know um there's academic or economic check-ins. Like we have different parameters in what we do. I would just ask questions. So, but we're asking about if it's honesty, I would just ask them questions about more closer to like a pies check-in. I would just ask them questions about that, like about like how you feel physically. What do you think about like how you doing physically? How you feel emotionally? What are you thinking about how you do? I wouldn't tell them anything, even if in my mind superficially or in my ego I'm like, man, you ain't, like I would never do that. Like I would never tell them like, you're not holding yourself, you're not being honest. So you're not, I would just ask them, and they'll most human beings, like when you call them out or you ask them, it's hard for most human beings to lie to you directly, you know what I'm saying, without showing something. Like, I'm not Daredevil or anything, but like they're gonna show that they're lying, and with me there's not really no reason to lie to me. You know what I'm saying? um Everything I work with them on, it's confidential anyway. So most people, I would just ask a series of questions. So like, that's why I ask you, in what way are you, or is it pertaining? So it would really depend on the situation of where they might possibly be dishonest with themselves, but you're in charge of self. Like, I'm not in charge of yourself. If you're gonna lie to me, then that's on you. Um, like I tell the young men that I'm like, look, I'm only in charge of one person's like manhood, and that's this one. The rest of y'all, I'm here to coach and help if you choose to take it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would just ask questions. I wouldn't tell them nothing. I would just ask them a lot.
Okay.
I want to add to that because I totally agree. There's another side to it, right? It depends on the situation. And again, you know what I'm saying? This comes from me playing chess with people. I will analyze the situation, hear what you have to say, and sometimes I know to shut my mouth, right? You know what I'm saying? And just listen to everything. Now, depending on how you speak and the situation that you're talking about, I've already come up with 150, if not more, different scenarios that if you walk down a certain path, where it's going to lead you. Why? Life experience. There's not too many things too many situations I put myself into that didn't turn out well, right? So when you meet somebody like that, I be quiet, and then when I do get a chance to talk, because I'm listening to what you're saying, I have one phrase, and I'm not going to look. In some cases, yes, I'll ask questions, but in a lot of situations, I won't ask questions because you in your mind you've already figured it out, right? Um, and it's a lot of times it don't turn out well. So I say one simple phrase: self-inflicted wounds are the worst ones. Now, a person can take that phrase however they want to. They can take it however they want to. Maybe they don't understand it, right? Um, until it actually smacks them in the face, and then that's the dose of reality that they may need. Some people are hard headed. They got to learn the hard way. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying, when you tell a person, hey, that pan is hot, maybe you shouldn't touch that. And you know what I'm saying? And they look at you like, oh, you got to be lying, right? You know what I'm saying? That pan ain't hot, although it's steaming. Well, touch it and find out. Self-inflicted wounds are the worst ones. When you start screaming and everything, I've already got a towel and I'm looking at you and go, hey, how did that work out for you? Sometimes that's how people got to learn. I'm not gonna feel bad for you. I'm not gonna feel bad for you at all because, like you said, D, the one person I got to look out for is me, right? I understand that phrase a lot more deeper than what I really cared to. But I learned the way that I needed to learn. Self-inflicted wounds are the worst ones. And you won't really understand that till you've actually had to be accountable for your own actions, whether it's good or bad. I used to tell my son this all the time. Look, you, no matter your actions, good or bad, there are consequences to them. You get to choose which ones you want. As as human beings, as people, this is going to be the life, the choices that you make. You are responsible for your own choices and the consequences that come behind it. Choose one. You want good outcomes for your actions, then do good things. It's really not that hard, you know. Sometimes life will come and smack you in the mouth. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Life is going to challenge you because that's what it's supposed to do. I'm not look. When you're naive to those things, life has a strange way of humbling and humiliating you, and making you put yourself in check. You know what I'm saying? And when you get to a certain point, it's just checkmate. Period. It's just checkmate. But you
I want
have
to
to.
challenge something. I want to challenge something you said. Like, I want to challenge something you said when you were like, a lot of times, which I agree. You were like, a lot of times I don't ask many questions because a lot of times they already made the decision up themselves, and like I agree. The thing that I would challenge is like they might have made that decision, but that's not always what I'm questioning. I want to question. I would ask about like the paths in which that decision, like, made, like, would lead you to and where it go. Like, I had a client who his brother had got shot in the leg. They were together. They're twins. And then it was, because I won't say it was because it started with him refusing. Someone was trying to rob him. And, he was like, man, this is my last 20. You're not finna get my last 20. And his brother took one in the leg. And because of that, for $20. And I asked him, like, why didn't you give up the 20? He's like, he's not finna get, not finna get my last 20. It was my last 20. You don't think you'll get another 20? He's like, are you not, like, it's just the point. It's just the point of, so was it pride that made you? No, it's just, I ain't no proof. Well, that's pride, young man. So you thought pride was worth it. And, he was like, had to explain to him, like, you know what pride is. And he was like, yeah, no, man, ain't nobody finna just punk me and da-da-da-da. I was like, and you weren't threatened by I just kept asking him these questions. And when it came to, like, his mother watching his brother in the hospital with that wound in his leg, and he was fine. He came out fine. I was like, you thought all of that. Do you think all of that was worth it? You seeing your mom, upset and scared, and not to mention the doctor bills, like, just walking, like, so all of that was worth $20. Like, how much is her copay finna be? And how long is it gonna take your brother to recover and be able to walk again? Or how long is it gonna be on crutches? And, like, all over $20. Like, I had to ask him a lot of questions. He already made his decision. The action was done. But, he was like, I would do that again. Like, his whole thing was, I would do it again. Ain't nobody taking my 20 from me. It's like, $20 is worth all that to you, huh? And it really, it as crazy as it may seem, I mean, but he's a young man. Like, I had to ask him all of these questions for him to really realize, like, and I didn't make him realize it. He realized it himself, because he came probably like a week later. He was like, "You right, man. I want to talk to you, Mr. D-Nick. That was right, man. Like, it ain't worth it." And I was like, "Man, and all I said to him was like, man, I'm happy it took you a week, because some people it take like years, man. Salute to you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they have to and if he doesn't, then that's on you. Whenever you realize, like, this shit is not worth it, that's your time frame. Like I said, I'm only in charge of one person's manhood, and that's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm only in charge of one person's integrity, and that's me. I'm only accountable for one person's actions, and that's this guy right here. Everything else is just guiding you to understand. And that would be the only thing, is like, man, I have to be prepared and not judgmental, because that's, but I'm always asking, and not for nothing, I ain't front like I'm no perfect person, because I show, like, I emotionally have, like, motherfucker, you think that you really finna do this for $20? Your brother got shot, but I can't react like that. I'm trained not to react like that. But it dawned in my mind, and it was like, gotta catch it, and I gotta ask. I gotta let him process it. I gotta let him process it and walk through it. And I gotta ask a lot of those questions back to get, like, he didn't think that what he did was a misstep. He really bucked up against someone with a gun. And instead of shooting him, he shot his brother, who was right there with him. I think his brother kind of, like, because he was like, they both was talking stuff. I think his brother kind of walked up to watch his back and he was like, bow, that type of thing. But it was all because he wouldn't give up his last 20. And I have to
Yeah,
ask, like, I have to ask those questions and see, is there anything that would make you think about, like, this wasn't worth it? You know, you young, you don't necessarily know, your pride and the ego talking to you, all of that type of stuff. So it's like, man, you gotta ask. So that would be what I would challenge about. Other than that, like, I agree with everything you just. I would just challenge, like, no, like, they had already made up their own minds, but you got to challenge that notion. You got to
I agree.
challenge that. At least I
Yeah,
do.
I'm,
I
I'm
got to
not
challenge
disagreeing
that.
with you. Like I'm not disagreeing with you. You know, I go back to what you just said, which really, you know, what I'm saying, ties into why I said what I said.
Mhm,
Right? You said
mhm,
that when you talk to that dude, what did he say? I'll do it again. Right? I'll do it
mhm.
again. Now, again, whenever I use that phrase, I use it according to the situation because I'm listening. Like if I know that you're not going to um, take what I say and try to apply it to what you're doing, you've already got it mapped out. You know what I'm saying? That means that no matter what I say to you, no matter the questions that I have, you're going to justify your actions. You're going to justify
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So now
But that's
this
why
is where
I say I would ask, because you
right,
got, if you answer all of the questions, then you, and it doesn't add up. It makes it harder for you to justify those actions, because
right,
it took him a minute, but he eventually came to, like, understanding. And some boys would not, some young men would not, but he, like, using that example, he came to understanding, like, damn, that shit ain't worth it, huh? You know what I'm
Mhm.
right,
saying? Like, my mom, like, it's a process. It's a process,
right.
and it's not always easy. And it's like for them, and it's even for self, it's not always easy. Like, it's definitely a process. And young man, had it in his mind that I would do it again. I ain't never let nobody take my $20. And you gotta, and but he didn't realize, even the fact of his brother being in the hospital, his mama crying, people worried, people, cousins and all them looking. He still didn't understand that shit wasn't worth it. But after asking a series of
Well,
questions, he
yes,
he couldn't run away from the fact that, oh, that shit wasn't worth it. And he came up with that. He came to that. I didn't tell him, yo, man, this ain't worth it. I wanted to tell him. I definitely wanted to tell him, like, yo, man, that shit is not worth no 20 fucking dollars,
Right,
dummy.
right.
But that's not my place. I have
there
to
you go.
lead for him. I have to ask the questions for him to develop that himself, if he develops it for himself.
Right.
Right. And like I said, I totally agree, right? And so and I say that to say when I do come to a point where I realize that you're not going to listen to me, that's the only reason why I would use that phrase. I do in
Yeah,
most situations will ask those questions to get you to start thinking about where, you know what I'm saying, your next steps, right? And get you to start thinking about things in a more 360 point of view. You know what I'm saying, about your actions, the way that you
right.
speak, you know what I'm saying, your approach to things, but taking other people into consideration while you're doing this, right? You know what I'm saying? So helping them understand that. It's only on certain occasions when I get that individual, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm not going to say the name, but I work with this 18-year-old, and the kid has been through a lot.
Mm.
I mean, talk about been through a lot. Been shot, stabbed. He's really active into the gangs. He's seen friends get
Right,
murdered,
right, right.
overdose, commit suicide, all of these different things. Correct? You know what I'm saying? So in his mind, the world is a place that he has to survive. Coming from a place where I had to walk that path myself, You know what I'm saying? I did try talking to him and like, look here, young
Right.
man, like this may not be the way that you want to do it because these have long-term effects.